The slower the burn, the bigger the...
The bigger the what?
The bigger the what, Seth? What's big?
The bigger the what's up? Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Romancing the Monsters. I'm Em.
Hi, I'm S.
I'm Seth.
And today we have another exciting episode for you to change things up. We are doing another one of our Catch Up and Chill episodes. So if this is your first one, how it works is essentially we just chit-chat about whatever we feel like chit-chatting about, and we have a list. Each of us has a list of things, movie, TV shows, books, whatever, that we've been loving at the moment or that we're excited about that are coming out soon, and then we discuss those things. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Who wants to start?
I feel like this is always the question.
I am vetoing that it's not me.
It's Seth this time. Go, Seth.
Why is it me?
It's never you, S. You should start.
I feel like I'm in school and then they call my name because of my last name.
Okay, fine. If it feels better, I can go first. Okay, so the first thing on my list is actually a book. And shockingly, there's no Turkish shows on my list this time around.
Oh my god.
I know, because a lot of the ones that I'm watching right now are ongoing, so like I've kind of already talked about them, so it's just
Or
like...
you're mad about them, so you don't want to talk about them?
Yes, that's also true. That is true. So, the book that I'll be talking about right now is called Thirsty by Mia Hopkins.
Ooh.
Okay, so basically, in this book, we have a hero named Sal who's just gotten out of prison after being there for 5 years. He went there for theft, like car theft, and gang affiliations. So it was like his dad's gang that he was initiated into when he was in high school, and like he's just been a part of it since, you know, he got caught when he was 19, so I think the book starts when he's 24, and he's trying to build his life after his time in prison. He's got like 2 jobs, working as a janitor in a gym and also in a spa, and like he's just trying to save enough money to have enough money for rent for when his brother comes out of prison as well in a few months. And he's just trying to, like, live a better life. He ends up living in a garage of this old lady on the same street that he used to live before, like, his parents are both dead. And, like, he ends up living in the garage of this old lady, and also her granddaughter also lives with her, and her daughter. And he's, like, had a crush on her since they were in high school, but, like, he never really acted upon it because, like, he's part of, like, the gang, obviously, and she's more of, like, the goody two-shoes girl that, like, he never wanted to... you know, never wanted her to be part of, like, that gang life. But then she ends up starting to have feelings for him, and, like, obviously, like, there's their romance going on. And he slowly starts to learn about life and, you know, what else is out there, because, like, all he's ever really been exposed to was, like, the gang life. And I just thought this book was really unique because, one, it was told mainly in the male point POV, like, it's only in his perspective. And he's also, like, dealing with a lot. Like, he has anxiety. Like, he's had it since he was, like, a child. But, like, being in prison, it just made it amplified and it worsened in jail. And I just thought it was really interesting to see such, like, I guess you would think he would be, like, a strong, macho, like, I just came out of prison type of guy. But, like, he was struggling with so much. And, like, his journey was, like, really interesting to read about. I really liked that aspect, that it was just in his perspective.
That's interesting, though. I feel like it's a trend that's sort of starting of, like, having books strictly in the male's POV, which is very different because, like, I don't know about you guys, but way back when I first started reading, like, full-on adult romances, it was like the trend was mostly to just have the book in the female's POV. Like we rarely got the guy's POV back then. And then slowly over the years, it became more and more popular to have like dual POVs. Yeah. So I find it really interesting because, you know, there's that book. And I feel like I've heard about 2 other books recently that were also strictly in the male's POV. So that's going to be interesting. Like, I wonder how it's going to change romance or even like how the stories are told, right? Because you're in a guy's head for the whole book and they think differently and they experience love differently, you would think. So I don't know, that's interesting. Actually, we should try and read one of those for the podcast.
I agree. And like for this one, I was in the mood for a book that just had a male POV, so I kind of went searching, and I couldn't really find anything that struck my interest, but then I ended up on TikTok, and I was just, like, watching videos, and then Katie Roberts, the author, she just had, like, recommendations. She's like, if you're looking for books in male POVs, here's, like, 2 books that I recommend, and I was like, it's like TikTok knew that I needed this. And yeah, so I got it off of her recommendation. And honestly, if you're looking for a good second chance romance, not second chance romance, but second chance at life, I really recommend this book. And the second book is going to be the brother, and he's more like bad boy.
Ooh.
So I'm excited. I'm probably going to read it because he seems interesting. He made an appearance at the end of the book because he came out of jail early, but like he still seems like a troublemaker.
Do you think like the book needed a girl's point of view? Like, did you feel like it was missing, or?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't necessarily think it needed her perspective because it was his journey and like his battle for like a better life. And like she was more of like an accessory to like, I hate saying accessory, but like she was more of like, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but she wasn't
she was along for the journey and it was his story.
Yeah, like she complimented his journey. Yeah, I don't think it was really needed because she still had a big presence in it, but it was very much his story and his journey and about his growth.
But I also think like it could be super romantic to be in the head of a guy as he's falling in love with a woman, like of seeing how much she loves her type of thing. Like that could be really cool because like the whole appeal, at least for me, of like being in strictly the girl's mind was that oftentimes the male lead was like super mysterious, right? So like you never really knew what was going on his side of things, you know? And that was exciting because it was like, ooh, he's dark and mysterious and I don't know. Does he love her? Does he not? You know? So I feel like the flip side could be really interesting and probably very romantic. So anyway.
No, I like male POVs. I kind of get sad when I don't see it in books, but
like at all, like not even a duel. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. All right, moving on. Who's next?
I'll go. Okay, so for my first choice, it's Mr. West by R.J. Lewis.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
I really love this author. I feel like she's like really underrated.
Yeah.
So this one's about it's about Aiden West, and he's like this arrogant, rich asshole. The type that's an asshole with like everyone, and like he meets the heroine, and you know, he falls in love. And so basically he had like a really rough childhood. He was raised by his grandmother. And that's one of the things that I loved about this book was the relationship he had with his grandmother. So whenever he had moments of like a weakness where he felt like he was going to go back to like his destructive ways, he would text her and call her and like ask her, remind me. And she would tell him like, you know, you're a good person. You're not going to go back. You are loved. And that's one thing that I really loved about this story. And then we have the heroine where she's separated from her husband. And they've gone through something like really traumatic as well. And like she's kind of stuck in this abusive, he's like emotionally abusive. So basically, you know, the Aiden and Ivy, the heroine, they meet, they're on an airplane, they meet, and they have like this like really good chemistry. And then the guy finds out that she's married. He backs off, and then like he kind of can't stay away from her, so he finds her on Facebook, and you know, they start this friendship
I love how normal that is. Like
Yeah.
finding someone on Facebook.
On
I've
Facebook,
literally
yeah.
never read that in a book before, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of how people do it.
Yeah, and it's I guess it's weird because he's like this rich guy. You would think like he would find her number somehow, but he makes a Facebook and he, befriends her and like calls her on there and stuff.
Wait, does he make a Facebook to find her on Facebook?
Yeah, he does.
I don't know if that's creepy or cute.
Maybe I'm leaning more towards creepy.
I don't know. I loved it. Another thing this book touched upon is like trauma bond. I don't know if you guys heard of that term. This was the first time I've heard it. It's when someone experiencing abuse develops like an attachment to her abuser.
Oh.
So her husband is really, I don't know how much I should say about the story. Or you think it'll like spoil?
No, go ahead.
What in case someone wants to read it? We can't spoil everything.
But a person who wants to read it, just don't listen for 5 minutes, because I want to know.
So, she was pregnant. She had a miscarriage, and instead of her husband being there for her, being patient, he just thought about himself and what he lost, and he just wanted sex. And if he didn't get it from her, he ended up cheating on her. While she was going through that, that whole process of grief, and like they're very toxic.
Wow.
I don't know. I love it because the guy, the main hero, he's an asshole with everybody, but with the girl, he's very sweet. He's patient.
Man, why is my favorite?
He doesn't want to he doesn't rush her. He's like, we're friends whenever you're ready. I don't know. It's a really good story. I just hate that I kind of ended like on a cliffhanger. Usually I don't mind cliffhangers, but this one was it got me, so.
And I feel like with that author, you don't necessarily know when the next one's coming out, right?
No, she just released the first chapter of the second book this morning to kind of hold us off.
So maybe not that long of a wait. Because I feel like she drops books kind of whenever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man. Is it going to be a duology, or is there like...
It's just, yeah.
Okay.
I'll do it.
All right.
So.
I might check that out when the second book comes out.
So my first pick is... I'm kind of cheating with this one.
Oh, no.
Because I'm putting on my list a series of which I've read the first 2 books. And I loved the first 2 books. So I've decided that I'm allowed to put the whole series on there. So this series is...
You made the executive decision.
I did.
Okay.
You're just going to have to endure me talking about these books for like 15 minutes because I have 2 books to talk about in one. So...
Oh my god.
I'll try to be quick about it, okay? Anyway, so the series is The Mating Habits of Scoundrels by Vivienne Lorret, I think is how you
I do
pronounce
like
her
that
name.
author.
Yeah, she's really fun. And so essentially the premise of the series as a whole is that you have these like 3 debutantes in London high society, obviously, who come together to write a book about the habits of scoundrels because one of their friends has been seduced and ruined by one of them. So they're like, we're going to write this book. We're going to figure out everything, how they work, blah, blah, blah. They kind of treat them as like animals in like a zoo. It's really funny. And they're like, we're going to write this book for every other debutante. So like, we'll never be ruined again type of thing. Or like, we'll know what to expect, you know? Anywho, the series as a whole, if I can just like give you a taste of what it's like. Essentially, Vivienne Lorret's writing for this series. It's the only series of hers I've ever read, so I don't know about her other books. But if you're like looking for humor, good banter, if you're looking for low angst stories, like it's kind of the type of story that you just cruise along with type of thing. You know what I mean? Like there's not a whole lot of drama. It's kind of just you're with the characters and they're kind of doing their own thing and you're just following along and, you know, like that type of story. Definitely try them out. But if I can dive into each of the book now, the first book is called Lord Holt Takes a Bride. And the premise of this book is that, so you have the heroine who is Winnie, and she's like an heiress of like a really huge fortune, and she's arranged to be married to this lord who she doesn't want to marry, but she feels like that's her only option, right? And meanwhile, her friends kidnap Lord Holt because they're like, oh, we found a scoundrel in the wild, so like we'll kidnap him. And so they do, and without telling Winnie, obviously, and they bring him to like this, I don't know, this place, this abandoned building type of thing, and they like question him about like his ways, and Winnie arrives, and like he doesn't know who they are, whatever. It's a whole thing. And they eventually release him because they're like, I can't believe we just did that. That was a mistake. But obviously, I think it's like the next week, Lord Holt is like, I ain't gonna let this slide. I'm gonna take my revenge.
How do they kidnap him? Do they like drug him, hit him?
Yeah,
or
how are
what?
they able to kidnap him?
I think they potentially drug him or hit him. Like they're working with one of the girls, Jane's cousin, who's like kind of like the brute kind of character. So like I think he might have hit him or something, and then they drag him into their carriage and whatever. It's a whole thing. It's really, really funny.
Okay.
Anyways, and so a week later, Lord Holt is like, I'm gonna kidnap Winnie as like revenge. But what he doesn't know is that Winnie, it's the day of her wedding, and she's like, I ain't doing this. Never mind. So she gets cold feet and she runs away. Where does she run to? His carriage. Because she thinks that, because like Jane arranges this whole plan for her to escape on her wedding day. And it involved her cousin being in a carriage waiting for Winnie, except Winnie goes in the wrong carriage because the cousin is not even there in the end. So she gets into Lord Holt's carriage and she thinks he's the cousin. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It's really funny. And then from there, like kind of evolves this like whole kind of a road trip book, I guess you could say, because they're kind of trying to get
road
somewhere.
Tripping.
Yeah, so it's a road trip. There's like the whole trope where they fake being married at one point.
Ooh.
Because it's a unmarried lady with an unmarried man in the countryside is like not done. So it's a lot of fun. And then the second book, which is called My Kind of Earl, is Jane's book. And this one, ladies and gents, is a Tarzan retelling. Wait, like Tarzan? Romance. A Tarzan retelling.
Like
you
Tarzan
heard that right.
From the jungle?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read this book as soon as I finish.
I was so excited.
Like, I'm ready.
So Jane is like the scientist of the group. She's like the mastermind behind it all. Like she was the one who proposed writing a book. She's really the one leading it. Like the other girls were just kind of doing it because Jane was into it, but like Jane is really into it. So what she does at the beginning of her book is that she goes through a brothel because she's like, she sneaks into one because she's like, I'm going to observe these wild animals in their natural habitat. And obviously that doesn't quite work for her because Raven, who is our hero, which is a very sexy name, walks in and like finds her and he's like, what is this girl doing in this brothel? So anyway,
wait, pause.
Yes.
Does he have raven dark hair?
He does, but the reason why he's called Raven, and that's a huge part of the plot, is because he has a birthmark in the shape of a raven, and that starts the whole premise of the book because Jane sees the birthmark and she's like, I've seen this before, and so she's like convinced that she can find, because Raven is actually an orphan is what she learns, but she's like, I've seen this birthmark before. And so she's like, the whole story is essentially the two of them trying to figure out his like lost heritage of like where they saw the Raven birthmark and stuff. Anyway,
okay, don't tell me though.
No. That's literally the beginning of the book.
Okay.
Like that's kind of the journey that they go on together, is just figuring out who he really is. Anyway, I really enjoyed both books. It's just, I don't know, sometimes it's fun to have like a book that really doesn't have that much angst or drama. You're just just enjoying it for the banter and, you know, the fun dynamics between the characters. So yeah.
It's good. I just checked, the third one is coming soon, Or
Yeah.
has it already released?
No, it's coming out this year. In like July, I think. June, July.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. That's the third one, probably the last one, because I don't think that the fourth girl is getting a book.
Why?
Yeah. But because she's not really in the books. It's mostly just the three of them, because the fourth one that was ruined was kind of is in the country being like hidden away. So
okay.
I don't think she's getting a book. But the third one, I think essentially it's like the girl has been in love with her neighbor her whole life, but he was never interested in her. And then in walks like a different man, and she's like, what the hell? I thought I was in love with this other man, but then here you are. And like, I think she's trying to like not, fall in love with him, but will probably fall in love with him. So that's going to be exciting too.
Interesting. No, the series sounds really intriguing.
No, it's fun. It's really fun. Like, if you like the banter of Julia Quinn with a close-knit group of friends, like Lisa Kleypas, like her Wallflower series, and like the humor, I guess, of like a Tessa Dare, I feel like this is what you're getting.
I've read one of her series. I think it was it's open still. Oh, okay. It's Seasons Original. And so like the first book was called The Debutante Is Mine. But like my favorite in that series was called This Earl Is on Fire. It was like, for some reason, it was my favorite because it was like,
on fire.
I know. Every time I read it, I just sing that in my head.
I hate it and I love it when they have titles that like are clearly inspired by a song, because it's like, I can't read the title without having the song in my head. Anyways, what were you saying?
No, I was just saying that it has the whole bringing the hero back from the, brink of death trope.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I loved it. I thought that book was so good. So yeah, I really want to check out this other series by her.
Nice. Well, I definitely want to check out her other series now, because, it's
try the series I read. I actually really enjoyed those books, but the second one was my favorite.
There was a character in the second book who is like who is clearly a character from a different series, but it's from her Matchmaker series. So I was like, ooh, I'm definitely gonna read that guy's book, because hello. So yeah. Anywho, I feel like I did that pretty quick. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you actually did a really good job.
Did. Yeah.
Thanks for praising me. All right. What's the second one on your list, Steph?
It's just gonna be a really brief mention because we have a whole 2 episodes on it, and that is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Like I said, we have 2 episodes upcoming. Is it upcoming or is this before?
It's upcoming. It's like the next episode after this.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So next week.
Yeah, next week you'll get the first part of our long ass discussion.
Yeah. Well, I guess if it's on your list, it's kind of a spoiler.
Well, yeah. But I'm not going to go in depth. I was just going to say that, we've been dying for this book for 3 or 4 years, and like we finally got our Nessian book. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I loved this, revisiting the world that, we all came to love in ACOTAR and ACOMAF and ACOWAR. And what's the other one? ACOFAS. And yeah, I just loved revisiting the characters and the new ones, and like, yes, the story, spoiler, I did enjoy the book overall. Yeah, I just like, it's just a book that really touched me, and it could be triggering, if you're, if, depression is one of your triggers, other mental health conditions could be a trigger. But yeah, overall, it was very good. I just I couldn't stop crying in parts and laughing in others and fanning myself at the rest of the book. So yeah, if you're looking for a really good fantasy book, but you have to be, we've already discussed this in the episodes, but you probably had to have read the previous 3.5 books
for sure,
in order to enjoy this book. But yeah, it just has like everything that I could have wanted for Nesta and Cassian. And that's it.
And who knows? Maybe on the next Catch Up and Chill, there will be Crescent City on your list. Who knows?
Ooh.
Exactly. Exactly.
Maybe
Are you
more.
planning on reading it soon already?
Yeah, I really do want to read it, but what had happened was I ended up picking up We Hunt the Flame by Hafsah Faizal
Oh, yeah.
before, because I don't know, I just ended up picking it up because I had it there, and I was like, you know what, I'm in the mood for some brown characters. I'm dying. This, like, I can't spoil it, obviously I won't. I just want to say that it has everything that you could ever want in it, Marge, and I'm pretty sure you too, S.
Nice.
The male lead.
That's all you need to say. I wish you could see her facial expression. It says everything.
She said a lot with just her facial expression.
so
delicious,
fucking
scrumptious, dark.
Tortured
Did I say
soul?
delicious?
Tortured soul, like,
Oh,
doesn't
yes.
see value in life, or like doesn't see value in like a life for himself, and love is forbidden for him, and
Is it young adult?
yeah, young adult, and there's 2 books only. In I guess it's not a series, but in the duology, it's only 2 books. But yeah, and like the girl is amazing too, Zafira. Like, I just like the characters. I'm only like halfway through, but everyone's so well developed so far, and like the writing is really beautiful. That wasn't on my list, but clearly I mentioned it. Moving on.
This was an honorable
It was
mention.
that fan art of Nasir that set me over the edge.
It was the fan art
handle.
for me too. It's always the goddamn fan art. Like,
It
I'm always
always
like,
is.
I'm so over YA. Like, I always feel like there should be sex in these books.
Same.
But then I see like a gorgeous fan art that is like full of longing and yearning for each other. And I'm like, all right, I'll read this one, I guess.
Yeah. I will say though, this one is like hella slow burn. Like,
I mean, is that not how we like them?
no, I know it's how I love them, but like I just didn't know. Like, there's like no.
We should come up with like a saying: the slowest, the burn.
The slower the burn, the bigger the.
The bigger the what?
The bigger the what, Seth? What's big?
The bigger the what's up?
I don't even know. Anyways, moving on.
Right. Yes. What's next?
The second book on my list is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue
Ooh.
by B.E. Schwab. I love this book. Like, I love it. I really, really, really love it. This was actually my first book by this author. I had started her Vicious. It's Vicious?
Oh, that,
her
okay,
Villains
yeah.
book. But I stopped it because of school and all that. I haven't gone back to it. But, so basically it's about Addie LaRue. She lives in this small town, this small village, and she basically wants to see the world. She wants to explore, but her family expects her to get married, to have kids, to die there without having a chance to see the outside. So basically, she makes a deal with like the devil. There's this quote in the beginning. Let me read it because I really, really love it.
Is the love interest the devil?
I believe he is. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
I'm on board.
So there's this quote in the beginning that just plays a part in her decision and all that. It says, "The old gods may be great, but they are neither kind nor merciful. They are fickle, unsteady as moonlight on water or shadows in a storm. If you insist on calling them, take heed, be careful what you ask for, be willing to pay the price, and no matter how desperate or dire, never pray to the gods to answer after dark." So this girl was desperate, and she ends up praying to the gods to help her because she's basically kind of forced to marry a widower. It's her wedding night, and she's just like, she wants to run. She doesn't want this to happen, but she's being forced to. So she runs off, and she just starts praying to any of the gods and hoping one of them answers. And then she doesn't notice that it's starting to get dark. And one of the gods that answers is basically like the devil, the darkness or whatever. And
that's such a cool concept, though, that like depending on the time of day, it's like different gods that answer type of thing. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah. And it's cool because she has to, in order for the gods to answer, she kind of needs to give them like a little present, I guess, like a little trinket. She's just praying and praying, and this god comes, this darkness, and she basically has to trade her soul in order for her to live. And he grants it, you can live however long you want. But when you're done living your life, you need to give me your soul. So she agrees to that. But by her agreeing to that, everybody that she knows or comes across, no one remembers her. Like, they'll see her and they'll look away, and then they'll come back and look at her, and they won't remember she was there. And they'll be like, "Well, who are you?"
That's so sad.
So yeah, so that she kind of lives her life like that, and it's a little sad. It's
kind of being invisible in a way.
Yeah, and she's very lonely. But it's a good story. You get a lot.
But obviously, the one who never forgets her is the devil himself, right?
Is there a romance though, or is it?
But it's not considered a romance. I guess everybody doesn't consider it a romance, but there is. Like,
this author does that quite often, though. I remember her other series.
Yeah, I feel like from what I've heard of the book, I feel like it could potentially be comparable to like a story like Keturah and Lord Death, where it's not technically a romance, but it's a romance.
And when I was reading, I felt like a vibe that kind of reminded me a little bit.
Really?
There's like a vibe there. So I think if you girls read it, I think you guys will enjoy it.
And I feel like the setting of the story in the very beginning is like kind of cool. Like it's like France 1600 or something like that. And then obviously it moves forward in time, but like that's kind of a cool place and time. Like I can't say I've read many books set in France in 1600s. So
yeah. Question S. Did you cry? Because I see so many TikToks of like people crying their eyes out.
Yeah. No, I was expecting to cry because everybody hyped up the end of it, and they're just like, oh, I cried. And I don't know if you've seen those TikToks where they're reading like the last couple chapters and then like, you see the reaction of it. I didn't cry. I didn't cry. There were moments before where my eyes got, my eyes watered.
Yeah.
But not at the end or at the beginning, how everybody kind of like, I guess it depends. But I didn't cry.
Would you recommend it though?
I would, definitely.
Okay. I mean, obviously if it's on your list.
Yeah. The audiobook was good too.
Oh, okay, because I was going to do the audiobook and I wasn't sure if it was good. So, okay, that's good. That's good.
I really like the audiobook. So definitely give it a try. So hopefully girls like it.
All right. Well, the next book on my list, which again, I'm kind of cheating because it's technically a series or technically a trilogy, but it's all about the same people. So I'm not going to go into like the plot of each book. I'm not even going to go into the plot of any book. I'm just going to like explain the world mostly. So the series is the Catalina, well, I can't even say her name. That's a great start, Marge. Catalina Baylor series, or trilogy, I guess, by Ilona Andrews. So last year I read the Nevada Baylor series or trilogy by them, and I really liked it. But then Catalina is essentially her little sister who has now taken over the investigation company that they've got. Like it's like a family thing. And anyway, so in this world there's like mages who everyone has like really interesting powers, but how it works is like you have families that are like really powerful and like have, really are really rich and, even go through like DNA to figure out the best matches so that the offsprings are like as powerful as possible and stuff. So like it's very sterile, I guess you could say. Anyway, and Catalina is and like the whole Baylor family essentially is like a new house. And her power is she's like a siren, so like she can use her voice to like entrance and like control people. But obviously she kind of both loves but hates her power because she's never been able to have relationships with people other than her family because she never knows if it's like, or at least back when she was little, she didn't know if it was like her powers just affecting people or and like the thing is that people become so obsessed with her because of her power that it becomes literally dangerous. Like they will kill her because they love her so much. Like it's so it, like anyway, it's really cool how it works. And in walks the beautiful Alessandro, who
Ooh, his
is
name.
Love
yes,
the name.
who is from a really rich house in Spain, and essentially at the very end of the Nevada Baylor trilogy, they have to go through like a trial type of thing to prove that they are, what's the name? I don't know. I don't remember the name of primes. That primes are like the top-notch mages. So they have to go through trials to prove that they're primes so that they can become a house type of thing, I think. Anyway, and the guy that's there to prove Catalina's powers and that she's a prime is Alessandro.
Oh.
And obviously, he's like the one person who's immune to her powers, you know?
Of course he is.
So, the whole premise of their trilogy together, the last book is not out yet, so I've only read the first two. But essentially, they kind of have to pair up to investigate some of these things. And let me tell you that the sexual tension between those two is great.
Wait, so there's no sex yet?
Oh, no. There is sex in these books.
Okay. So I was like, wait, you're talking about sexual tension?
I mean, there's sexual tension and sexual chemistry, and like it goes further than just after they have sex. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
It's kept up, you know. So and like it's kind of forbidden. Like we can't be together, but we want to be together because obviously he's from Spain and she's not, and she made like a bargain that with someone or a promise, I guess, that like anyway, I'm not going to get into it because it's kind of spoilery, but anywho, just know that the tension and the chemistry and just the will they, won't they, can they not is killing me. And I'm very excited for the next book, which is coming out next year, I think, which is a bummer.
Damn.
Is this considered like urban fantasy or PNR?
It's urban fantasy, but like, and now that I'm reading, because I'm actually currently reading the Kate Daniels series by Ilona Andrews, it's definitely more romantic than the Kate Daniels series, which the Kate Daniels series has romance, but like in the Nevada Baylor series trilogy, why do I keep saying series? In the Nevada Baylor trilogy and the Catalina Baylor trilogy, obviously it's focused on like the main female character, but the romance is like through all three books. Like it's not like it's a side thing. It's very, very present. So yeah. But the Nevada Baylor series is good too. It has a very hot hero named Rogan. What's his first name though? Because I'm so used to calling him Rogan, but what's his first name? Conrad? No, Connor Rogan. No, it's not Connor Rogan. Anyway, doesn't matter.
It's okay.
Very hot. He's very, very hot. That's all you need to know. But like Alessandro is like he's like younger because like Catalina is younger. He's younger too. He's kind of like, he poses as the like rich boy that's like on yachts and like has girls all over him and like is all over the world and stuff. So like that's his like personality, but like is it ? And then Rogan is like the dark, mysterious kind of recluse type of character that you're just,
I like
very
those
yummy,
characters.
very, very yummy. And he's older, obviously. So anyways, so I love it. I'm excited.
You don't get confused because I feel like you're reading a lot of Ayanna Andrews. You don't get confused between, like, mix up between the series?
Well, sometimes I do get confused. Mostly just not about the characters because their characters are very distinct from each other, I would say, but mostly in like the worlds, because sometimes I kind of wonder if perhaps the two worlds are connected, but then not really, because I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but there are things in the Kate Daniel world that happen that don't happen in the other world. So I don't know. They're different enough, but they are similar in some ways for sure.
Okay.
Because it's urban fantasy both ways. So yeah.
Does this author do the fated mates trope?
Not yet, but I have heard rumblings about the spin-off series from the Kate Daniels series that might be a fated mates type of thing. So we'll see. But no, they kind of go for, because it's like an author duo, for people that don't know. It's a husband and wife duo, which is so cute and so fun, and I love those the most.
This is an author that's two? That's a husband and wife?
It's a husband and a wife writing together. It's really cute.
That's so cute.
Which is like goals in life. Like,
I
hello.
know.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's very cute. I love
All right. So I guess this is a good segue into my next book. And it's by another husband and wife duo, Tiffany Roberts, called Shielded Heart. So, as you girls know, I wasn't too invested with the overall plot. I got intrigued by other things. But let me just give you an overall plot of...
That's a very vague way of putting it.
I know, right?
Okay. You were interesting by other things.
Okay.
Sure.
So, this book is set in the future where humans migrate to different planets. And in this book, we have Samantha, who's fleeing to another planet because of her abusive ex. So she's trying to escape, like, her abusive psycho ex. And one day, on this new planet that she settled onto, she's looking for a job. And so apparently the government gives migrators, or I guess people who decide to move planets, a certain amount of money to get you started. So she's more or less scared that money's going to run out before she can find a job. So she's on her way finding a job. And while she's out, she's not really having luck on finding jobs because she's human and everyone else is like underestimating her and all that stuff. And she ends up, it's really sad, she ends up falling and getting trampled, but is saved by this hot ass alien who, by the way, has been watching her. Like, I don't know, this alien world has some high-tech gadgets and technology, and he's just been, like, looking for a human mate for himself, and he sees that a human woman has settled on the planet that he's living on, so he's like, yep, I want her.
Ooh, okay.
So his name, Arcanthus, but he's undercover, and he's going by a different name. It's kind of insta-love, but I just appreciate how these authors... just basically how extreme they make their aliens. Like, they seriously just, leave this, this galaxy.
I mean, they are the ones that created the octopus men.
Yeah, yes, so... they're the ones that did the Kraken series, which we have a video, I talked about it in our TikTok. Yeah, so this one, to be honest, so the reason why I picked this book up... I was intrigued by an art that Tiffany had posted on their Facebook S is doing, this action.
Gestures.
Yeah, she posted this art in her Facebook, and I was like, you know what? And then she's like, oh, if you wanted to see more, what is it? NSFW arts, go on our page.
Not safe for work?
Yeah. Like, really 18 plus type stuff. She's like, click on the link and then just, confirm your age and go check it out. So it's like, oh, all right, I'm just curious. I don't know why I'm curious. It's just like, I clicked it and then,
girl, don't try to pretend like you're like, oh, I don't know. I just clicked on the link. You clicked on the link. You wanted to see. Don't act like you just stumbled upon the image.
Okay, fine. Yes, I wanted to see alien dick, so I clicked it. Okay. Okay. Anyways, I clicked it, and like, the art was amazing. It was beautiful. It was perfect.
It was. It really was.
So if you want to know what his dick looks like, let me just explain it to you. So basically, he has a dick, and then. It can separate into 4 separate segments that kind of like move on their own. Like, think tentacles, but like attached to someone's,
Is it like member. a flower opening a little bit?
No, it's like they kind of like move on their own. Like, it's like.
Oh my God, that gesture was. What was that? Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, so, like, I think you guys just all need to read the scene where, like, she's giving him a blowjob because it was just, like, I don't don't even know. Anyways,
Does it
so
open?
basically, it's just. I'm like scarring you girls, but I'm telling you, it was hot,
I am
okay?
scarred right now.
It was
The
hot,
hell?
and he has a tail, and he actually uses it for the things that they should be used for.
We do love tail play.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
What
And
the
it's
hell?
just
Now
so-
that you said she was giving you a blowjob and that thing just opened up in her throat, I'm
No,
scared.
it didn't open up in her throat. It opens up before, but you have to hold the base, and then it like goes together, and like his dick is very like bumpy and like ridged, and like, you know, it's. I just love that alien dicks are always made for the receiver's optimal pleasure.
Always.
So
I think I need to see the fan art again. What's the
okay,
website?
do you want
What's
me to
the
send it to you
link?
because I still have it?
Send it to me, Sev. I want to see it again.
Okay, let me send it.
Girl, you are exposing yourself. I can't believe she started this all like innocent, like, oh, I just wanted to click. Turns out she still has the art.
It's not because okay, this is just like I'm digging myself a deeper hole at this point, so I'll just stop talking.
Can I just say that I love that they themselves commissioned this art? Because, like, they know. They clearly know how to sell a book.
Yeah, they do. And I honestly appreciate that their aliens are actually aliens.
Aliens. Yeah.
And like they're hot. And like they make them so like attractive. Because to be honest, I would never have thought an octopus man I would deem attractive, you know? Like that, first of all, as I said before, it was a book. I just needed a book to get me out of my reading slump. And that one did it. And I actually was attracted to an octopus man. Who knew?
I feel like everyone knew. At this point, I think no one is surprised. Oh boy. I feel like I'm not yet at the point where I could be reading about an octopus man. But never say never, right? Never say never.
Wait, you didn't read it?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Yet being the
will.
keyword.
I honestly think you should try it out. I mean, if it's on our official TikTok page, I honestly think as a member of Romancing the Monsters, as a host, you need to be reading this.
That's my homework.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not ready yet, but I will be ready eventually, for sure.
Okay.
It's just it's a little scary, those tentacles.
Can I tell you something? I'll tell you something. Okay, so basically, as I was looking for that fan art, I came across, you know that video when I took explaining how certain sexual organs and how you pleasure them in a certain book that we will not mention. I have the video of me going like this, you know, like clapping my, like putting my fingers back, making a claw. Do you know what book I'm talking about?
The book that shall not be named. Yes.
Oh, don't talk about it. Don't bring it up.
Why? What was there something similar in the Kraken book? That you just didn't remember?
No, man. I'm telling you, the Krakens, they have a dick and like special things on top of the actual member that, you know, where it needs to be.
And I'm not gonna get into it, but I am gonna get into it. That's my issue with the book that shall not be named. It's like, we're used to sci-fi where these aliens, as you said, are just perfectly made to pleasure a human woman.
Yeah.
And that one wasn't. And I was like, I'm not here for this. Anyways.
All right. That was enough about me talking about my alien fetish. I cannot believe I spent over 10 minutes talking about this.
I love it when you talk about your alien fetish. Makes me feel not alone.
It deserved 10
How did
minutes.
I become the alien fetishizer when it was always us?
When it's all
I don't
of us.
know.
We're just throwing you under the bus. We're just using you as a shield to hide ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyways,
This is great.
try to change the subject.
I'll try. For the next one, it's gonna be a show.
Ooh.
It's the Ginny and Georgia show on Netflix.
Ooh, yeah.
Seth watched it. It's, I don't know how, Should
I
I?
have no idea what this show is, by the way.
No?
Never heard of it.
It's on Netflix called Ginny and Georgia. It's about this mom and daughter and son that moved to this new town to, start fresh after their stepdad ends up dying.
Okay.
Right. And they move to this new town. They make new friends. So basically it's about Ginny, the daughter. She starts high school. She ends up making friends, and this is kind of like her first time having like being a part of a group of friends.
Because they're constantly moving.
Yeah. So you get, the whole teenage angst and, drama and Ginny trying to find her, basically trying to discover herself
So kind of like
Is
a
that-
coming of age story.
Yeah.
on her
But like
part.
she's also struggling with like her own identity because she is a mixed child. She's half black, half white. And it's like that struggle of like where do I belong type of thing also comes into the narrative.
Yeah. And then we have the mom where she's just like the type that's like really out there. I feel like she was like a really good mom.
I love
even though, like,
Georgia.
Yeah. She was very, I don't know, how would you describe her? Like very,
She still like had good rules and like good, I guess, life lessons to live by, like with her children.
even though she did a lot of like questionable things. Like she had like a really rough childhood as well. A really rough childhood. And she just kind of fended for herself her whole life. Like she just found ways to take care of herself. She did a lot of questionable things, but with good intentions.
questionable
behind it.
things.
For
Putting
her
it
kids,
lightly.
Yeah. There's like I don't know, I wouldn't call this like I guess like it was mysterious in the way like there was like certain deaths, a certain death that occurred, and there was an investigation going on. When I first started, I thought it was gonna be like a little cheesy.
I thought it was going to be more like Gilmore Girls because everyone kept talking about, oh yeah, it's like a young mom with
Yeah.
a teenage daughter and like
Yeah,
it's like Gilmore
kept
Girls, but it
comparing
was
it.
nothing like Gilmore Girls.
no.
And I appreciate that. But all I just want to say is Joe and Georgia are endgame. They have to be endgame.
Yes.
I just wanted to add to your Ginny and Georgia is that I love that there's actually, a brown, like Joe is like brown. He's Guyanese. So like represent to the fellow Guyanese people. I was just really excited because I was like, I knew him from Degrassi. And then when I saw him on the show, I was like, oh my gosh, he's gotten hotter. How is that possible? So like, yeah, I just love that there's like a Guyanese lead that everyone's lusting after. Like it just like, it feels good to be represented, even though he wasn't playing technically a Guyanese man, he was still playing like an Indian. I mean, he doesn't really say his nationality. I don't think he ever did. It's just like, he's a Guyanese man on screen. So I just thought it was really exciting.
My brother watched it.
Yeah?
He came up to me, he's like, oh, have you seen Ginny and Georgia? I was like, wait a minute. I was like, you watched it? He's like, yeah. He's like, I binged it. He's like, I hope there's a second season.
I want
he
there to be
really
a
loved
second
it.
season too, but like, just delete the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't like, it just felt like it really
way it
random.
ended.
Sorry, like Marge,
I'll
we're talking
leave.
about this.
It's like,
No, but like I do think the show is really good, and I do recommend watching it.
if you're looking for a new show to watch, Marge, we recommend
boy.
it.
The list is very long. Very, very long.
Yeah, you have Sanditon, Outlander.
You haven't finished Sanditon?
Nope.
That was
many
the
did you
smallest
watch?
nope ever.
I watched 3 episodes, and then it was Christmas, and then Bridgerton came out, and then my life was completely taken over by that and consumed by that, and then I then forgot to record the last 2 episodes, so I still have episodes like 4 to 6 on my TV that I just haven't watched, and then I'm missing 7 and 8.
Well, you can watch those that you have, and then we'll find you links to the last 2.
One day.
How about that?
That's why, like, as soon as she said, "Oh, do you want to watch Sanditon with me?" I like jumped on it because I was like, "This girl barely watches TV, so of course I'm gonna join her on her like once a year watch of a TV." Do you even know what a TV is anymore? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, well, I feel called out. One day I will finish Sanditon, I promise. Anyways, are we moving on to my pick? Okay. So, my next pick is a book called, it's a very old book actually. It's called Morning Glory by Laverell Spencer, I think is how you pronounce her name. I am not sure. I've never seen that name before. But Morning Glory is about Ellie and Will. And Will is a ex-convict who it takes place in at least at the beginning of the book, it's like 1941, I think. Yes, it is. So he's an ex-convict and he just arrived to this small town. He's trying to like get his life back together. Mm-hmm. You know, he has a new job, but everyone is at his job, like the other men, don't like him because he's an ex-convict and whatever. It's kind of hard for him. Like he's never had a family. He's never really had a life. Like he's just all his life, it was just constantly being on the streets, trying to, you know, pull his shit together. And Ellie is, quote unquote, the town crazy, I think they call her, like the town crazy, just because people don't see her because when she was young she was locked away in her house and like never went out until the authorities or whatever you know came and like were like she has to go to school because there was a law now for children to go to school and whatever. It was a whole thing. So like people never really saw her and she's kind of a recluse in that way. And she lives in like a house on the outskirts of town and she, so essentially she has two very young kids, and she's pregnant with a third one, and her husband just died. And, you know, her house is in need of repair, and she's like, I don't know how I'm going to do this with 3 kids. And so she puts up an ad in the town, I guess, it's not a city, asking for a husband. And Will sees the ad, and he's like, well, I clearly don't have anything going for me right now. So he takes up the offer, and he's like, I'll become your husband. And from this sort of evolves like this whole slow burn story where like, you know, they slowly become friends, and like Will, everyone's always been afraid of him, and like so he doesn't like know at first how to be around the kids, and he's never really been around kids, so he's like discovering that for the first time, and like he doesn't know how she will react because the reason why he was put in prison, everyone, is because he killed a woman. So he's like, I don't know how she's gonna be around me, and like it's a really beautiful story, extremely slow burn. There's like World War II in the middle of that because 41, I believe, is when America joined in the Second World War. So it's like, you know, there's drama, and it's, I don't know, it's I can't really explain this book, but it's the really kind of story that just builds slowly, and you don't realize how connected you become with the story. And like this little family, like the kids were so goddamn cute. So
I
cute.
love men around children.
It was great in this book because Will has never really had that, like the innocence of being around kids, and like so he's learning that, like how to speak to kids, how to be around kids, and like the kids are like just, you know, they're being kids, so like it's just so adorable. And like And there's this whole plot at one point where, because, you know, she's pregnant, so she's gonna give birth at some point, but she refuses to go to the hospital. So, like, Will has to learn how to give birth. And, like, at that point, it's not even a romance yet. And he's, like, reading, like, he's getting all these books on, like, how to give birth because he's so anxious about it. Anyways,
that's
so
cute.
lovely. And, yeah, it has some good drama and angst and slow burn. So if that's what you're into and you want like a historical romance that is not too historical, because, you know, it's like 41, so it's not that far away, definitely check it out. Definitely.
What is it called again? Morning Glory?
Morning Glory by Laverell Spencer, yeah.
Does she know about his past?
She does. It's the first thing he tells her. He's so polite. Like, he's aware that he scares people, but, like, she's such a tough woman. Like, I was so surprised because this is an old book. It was written in, like, I don't know, like maybe late 80s or something. Ooh. So I didn't know what to expect from her character, but I was pleasantly surprised that she was one of, like, you know the stereotype where it's like the tough woman from the South. Type of stereotype where, like, she got her shit together. She's like, you're gonna respect me, you're gonna be polite, when I cook dinner, you're sat at the table like 10 minutes ahead of time, clean, you know, not wearing a hat type of thing. Like, she's very like that. So I really liked her because she was kind of badass for the time.
They're really it sounds really intriguing.
Will just captured my heart. Will is just everything.
How old is he?
So, yeah. I want to say like 30 something.
Okay.
Yeah, it has his like heartbreaking moments too, I have to say. Like, I'm pretty sure I cried. So
really? A book made you cry? Damn. Okay, so that's also on my list. I hate these episodes because I end up putting all these books on my list and it just grows and grows.
I just added the Morning Glory one on my
like I'm gonna add that too.
I just love it. It's always the most random books too, right? Like the books that you've literally never seen before, and then suddenly you're like, oh yeah, I'll pick this one up, and you just devour it, and it's like your favorite book now. So also, I forgot, but I just want to quickly say that there is a movie of Morning Glory, which I haven't seen yet, but in case people are interested, I don't know if it's good, but there is a movie, and it's really old, so it's got that feel to it. So yeah, I think it's like on YouTube for free. Like, the whole movie is right there. So
all right, so you're talking about random books becoming your favorites. Now it's my turn to talk about The Spanish Love Deception by Ilona Armas. I'm probably really mispronouncing her name, but she was a bookstagrammer, and then she ended up writing this beautiful book, and it was just so good. I can't believe it's her debut book.
Is it indie or trade?
I think it might be indie. So it starts off with our character, Lena, who's lamenting about needing a date for her sister's wedding back home. And back home is actually Spain. And so her coworker, Erin, overhears her and offers to be her date. Story is, though, they're arch enemies at work, and they constantly fight and bicker and hate each other at work. But do they? Do they really? So she literally decides to take him up on his offer because she has no other options, like no other prospects, no other like you know, anyone around her. There's no other option. There's just Erin. So they go to Spain and they start the ruse of, you know, fake dating, but also, like, you know, the whole fake relationship thing with her family. They all think she's like dating this guy long term, and like they've been together for a bit, and so like they're pretending at being a couple. And her ex is actually the best man, and he also is the reason why she left Spain in the first place to move to America. So like there's a whole lot of drama surrounding that, but like this book had it all. Like, it was funny, the banter was good, the sexual chemistry was, oh my gosh, so hot. He was like they were the definition of grumpy sunshine. He was so he was such an asshole and like unexcited about basically anything. And then she's like the opposite. She like finds the joy in like eating a granola bar, and like she's just like the funniest, cutest girl ever. And it's just like it was such a fun book and such a fun ride. And Like, I love the whole family dynamics as well. Like, a healthy family portrayal being one of them in this book that I thought was really good. Also, something I know you girls really like is, like, forced proximity, and, like, they were forced to share a bed because this idiot, he's also a giant, so he was trying to prove to her that he could fit on a small-ass bed, and then she's like, okay, go, let's see. And then he does it, and he breaks the bed. It was great. Yeah, I love it. If you want a light book with good characters and really great writing and just the right amount of angst, this book, like, honestly is for you. But I will say, it is only told in the female perspective. So I remember we were talking about it earlier, but honestly, this book was just really good, and I highly recommend it to anyone that wants a cute, like, romance.
I feel like we have a theme this week of, like, books that make you travel and families.
Yeah.
In books. So that's fun because it's two things that I really like in romance, like having a huge family, either that's absolutely chaotic or a really close-knit family, and then books that make you travel that are not all set in the United States and then, like, either New York or California. There are other places.
No, honestly.
Which is
and
fun.
I really appreciated that this book was, like, it actually portrayed Spanish family customs and, like, just families in general. And, like, I don't know, I just thought it was such a sweet book. Like, I fell in love with her grandma, and, like, it was just, like, such a good book. And I just want to say, like, Aaron was so hot, the male lead. Oh my gosh. Like, I honestly, like...
Is he, like, a gentle giant or, like, a giant?
He has, like, many different sides. Like, sometimes he's an asshole, but, like, he doesn't mean to be an asshole, but, like, it just comes off that way. But, like, he honestly, I think he's more or less the gentle giant. Because, like, he's such a good person.
Like, inside, deep down, he's a gentle giant.
So good. I don't want to spoil anything, but the author even quoted One Tree Hill. And I was like, I'm done. I'm gone. Yes.
That's awesome. Plus, it's a blogger, which is really cool.
So, highly recommend this book.
So I'm gonna mention a book that I'm currently reading.
Okay.
Which is The Land of the Beautiful Dead
by
finally! It's a big.
Oh, we've been eyeing that book for forever.
Yeah.
And she's finally reading it.
I'm not that far into it. I want to say I'm probably like 4 or 5.
The book is a thick-ass book, so
like a million pages,
you're not that far into it is,
close. It's, I think I'm like maybe 4 or 5 chapters into it.
Okay.
But it's one of those books where you have to, like, give it your full attention. So I feel like it's gonna take me a couple months maybe to finish it. Because it feels like it's a little heavy, like on the
I've heard that
and it's complex and it's kind of gruesome, but so far what I've read I really liked. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really intrigued to continue on.
I've heard it's like the male lead it's definitely you gotta learn to love him, because at first he's like very harsh, like he's not trying to make you love him type of thing. So it's definitely, like, I guess, like, you could say a redemption story, though I don't know if he's ever fully redeemed. I've only heard that he's difficult to love, but you eventually love him despite yourself. He's that kind of hero.
Yeah.
So. I love how that's what intrigues me. So what's the general premise of the story?
So basically it kind of has like a post-apocalyptic feel to it, because he comes to I guess Earth, or I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's like a version of Earth, and he kind of like takes over. But I feel like when he talks, like there's more to him. Like there's more to than what the humans see and have witnessed and have experienced. Like there's more to it, kind of like there's 2 sides to every story.
Yeah.
So it has like a post-apocalyptic feel. There's like a bunch of like zombie-like eaters. They're called eaters. And then there's like a bunch of dead people living among the living.
So are the zombies like zombies that we know, or are they ravenous, like I'm gonna eat your brain type of zombie, or do they have some sort of like intellectual ability?
Well, they're really dumb, but they will attack, I guess, if kind of provoked. but they're easily killed.
Would you say it's similar at all to in any way to the Four Horsemen?
It kind of has that feel a little bit.
Because let me just read you the first sentence of the blurb, which was what had me like, oh, okay. It says, she would dare anything to save the world from his rule, even his bed.
And that's how it starts. Like, she goes and travels to kind of have like a what is it called, like a meeting with him.
So it's like
audience?
She's trying to save the world, so she sacrifices herself.
Mm-hmm.
But what about her is special? Like, why does she think she, is the only one that can do that? That's really intriguing to me.
She'll make him fall in love. That's what's special about him. About her. She'll be the one. So you're enjoying it. Cool. We'll wait for your report in 4 months.
Yeah. Probably.
We'll have an episode called S Reports Back.
I'm still waiting for that essay she was supposed to give us about loving, was it Locklane?
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it.
Okay.
You guys will get it by the time we finish the series.
All right. I'm holding you to it.
I am too. I am waiting for that essay. We will publish it.
Yeah.
No, we won't.
On Amazon.
We will not.
Make money off of it.
Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to know. I'm not putting you on the spot, and I'm not at all,
Yeah, you are.
hating on you right now. I think a lot of people want to know why Locklane is one of your top. So I think this essay will be important, will start a movement, will, raise questions.
Maybe it will change her mind. Why does S love him so much? Maybe it will change her mind.
Exactly. It's only for, your side of things to come out.
I'm just thinking of one of those, YouTube videos where it's like, time to tell my story, or, breaking my silence. That's the vibe I'm getting here.
And no one can dare ask you the question as, were you silent or were you silenced?
Are we silenced?
I'm gonna have a story time on TikTok. Watch.
In 10 parts.
Yes, and it's every part finishes on a cliffhanger, but then almost telling you something, but not telling you, so that you watch the next part.
Yeah,
those are the worst, man.
They are.
Oh my god. Anyways, are we moving on?
Yeah.
Okay. From one devil to the next, I guess, sort of, not really. My next book is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie, and I'm gonna butcher this name, Maniscalco?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry if I really butchered that. I have no idea how to pronounce this name. Anyway, Kingdom of the Wicked is a YA fantasy novel set in Sicily. Is that how you pronounce that?
Mm-hmm.
Sicily? In approximately somewhere in the 1800s. It doesn't really specify the time period, but that's kind of where it's at. And it's about Emilia, who her twin sister got murdered.
Why are you laughing?
And I don't know.
Oh, man.
So her twin sister is murdered, and Emilia gets it into her head that it's up to her to figure out who the heck murdered her sister. Mm-hmm. And so to do so, she tries summoning a demon, but what she thinks she's summoning is a low-key demon, a small creature that will, help her figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Because she knew that her sister was sort of playing with summoning at the time, so she's trying to summon someone to know if her sister summoned anyone, and if someone from the beyond, I guess you would say from hell, killed her or whatnot. Mm-hmm. What she doesn't know, and realizes quickly enough, is that she does not actually summon a low-key demon. She summons one of the 8 or 7 princes of hell, whose name is Wrath. So, wrath, greed, that...
Yes.
That whole thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because of how he's summoned, they're kind of stuck together. It's very, the Taming Demons for Beginner episode just released. It's very similar. Like, I was getting the same vibes. Not obviously, we don't get a cute little murder baby who loves cookies in this book. But it's the same concept of like someone summoning someone sort of by mistake, and then they're stuck together, and then they kind of have to figure out like how to undo it type of thing. Anyways, I really enjoyed this book. I will, be honest and say that it's not the best book I've ever read, but it had me very intrigued. It had me very entertained. It's a little bit dark, but not too dark. I forgot to say she's a witch. She's a witch, so there's like witchery in the book. But it's very entertaining, and the romance is, it promises to be very steamy in the next few books, but it was definitely trying to be steamy in this one. It's kind of one of those books where you can tell that the author wanted to take it there, but wasn't sure if she could. But then I'm pretty sure she, confirmed that the second book would have smut, so she's going to take it there.
Okay, that's really
Is it considered a young adult book?
I think it's considered young adult. Yeah.
But she's going to have smut?
It's not young adult as... Huh?
But she's going to have smut then? In book 2?
She is. She said she would. So, like, kind of smut in the sense of, like, Akamath, I guess. Some people still consider Akamath young adult, even though it has smut. Okay. So, anyway, I'm excited for that.
And Wrath is just so hot.
Oh, my God. Have you seen the art?
I've seen many in art.
Wrath, ladies and
hot.
gents. He has sort of golden tattoos of like a snake going down his arm, and he's got like those golden yellow eyes and that smolder and dark hair.
Now it just sounds like you're describing a Cullen. Like golden, what is it, yellow? What do you say, golden dark eyes? And I'm like, his golden eyes? I mean, Edward Cullen.
His golden eyes. I've read, it's such a weird eye color. And then recently I've read so many books that the hero had golden eyes. I was like, is this like the Cullen? The Cullens are making a comeback? Okay. Anyway, it's good. It's good. I recommend it.
Okay. That's been on my list, but I think I kind of want to wait until the second book comes out. Because I feel like for me, I tend to forget what happens in the first book by the time the second book comes out. So, yeah, that's what I'm probably going to do.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how she will keep this story going, not because there isn't anything to go off of. Like, the book definitely ends on a cliffhanger that makes you go, oh, shit. But I'm just curious, because I've heard that this author, like, her other series, I think it was called Stalking Jack the Ripper.
Yes.
I believe, which I'm also interested in, but I've heard that she doesn't do great with like sequels. So I'm interested to see how this one pans out, and if it pans out at all.
Do you know how many books will be in this series?
No idea. Okay. But it's coming out soon, like October, I think, which is...
That's like months from now.
I mean, the first one, it feels like it just came out. So,
okay, yeah.
I don't know. And it's called Kingdom of the Cursed, in case you're interested.
Okay.
The second one is called. Anywho.
Right. Well, the last on my list is actually a movie. And it's called Raya and the Last Dragon. Yes, it's the latest Disney movie. But
oh my God. I'm tuning out.
You're so rude.
I'm sorry.
I'm listening, Sev. Continue.
You're lucky I listened to you talk for like 10,000 minutes.
I'm listening.
Okay, anyways, tune out then. Go take another pee break. Okay, so yeah. It's just like, it was such a good movie. Like, it was honestly so good. So like, it's about like this girl named Raya who is tasked with saving the world in a sense. So like, basically there was a stone that like had driven away the darkness or whatever years and years ago, and her family was tasked with protecting it. But then things happened and other tribes and clans came, and the stone broke into like 5 different pieces or whatever. And then the darkness returned, and what happens when the darkness touches you, you turn to stone. And basically, I think I don't know how many years passed by, but like literally the world is basically dead. So she is on this journey to find the last dragon to, later on bring all the pieces of the stones together to drive away the darkness again. But like this, like, I don't know, man. This movie like really touched me. Like I ended up crying at parts, and I think it was more like how like she formed like, I don't know, like unlikely allies and like alliances with like these people that ended up becoming her found family, and like she had like found a place in this world. And it's just like, I don't know, like everyone from different clans, so they're all at war basically, and it's just like how they come together to like make the world a better place. And it's like the messages of this movie was like, they were just amazing, and how like, like they needed to trust each other and be united, that like we need to embrace our differences or else like it'll destroy us. And it was just like the messages were so good and had me crying. And also this movie was hella gay, and like I was shipping the heck out of Raya and Namari, which is like her arch nemesis.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and it's like I'm amazed that Disney, they kind of did it but kind of didn't. Like you would, watching the movie, you would know that they had something going on. Like even as children, like she had like the iconic, hair behind the ear. Like it was just like Raya and Namari, their sexual tension was so good.
Well, it's good they took it there, because Disney never does.
Yeah.
Or hasn't yet, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
So
this is the first, so good for them.
Yeah, and like they had the whole like childhood friends to like enemies to allies to friends again, probably romantic, pairings. Like it just like, it was so good. And the music was so good. Just the movie overall was just surprisingly really good.
Yeah. And I just want to say that I'm glad I haven't seen the movie, but and I probably never will, because me and Disney. But I'm glad that this is, that this is Kelly Mary Tran.
Yeah.
Another thing about Disney is their sequel trilogy of Star Wars, which I do not want to get into, but unfortunately something that is very sad that happened was that Kelly Mary Tran was bullied by some of the Star Wars fans. And so, I mean, it was horrible, like racist comments left and right. It was really horrible. So I'm glad that she has this new thing that she's like the center of, and it's doing great. So I'm really happy for her, actually.
And it's doing really well. And I just love like the message basically says like, be yourself and just accept people's differences, because that's what makes us all amazing. And this movie was so good. So yeah, highly recommend if you're a Disney fan. Even if you're not a Disney fan like Marge, I still think it's a really good film. Like it honestly just felt like an animated action film.
For my next thing on my list, it's actually just gonna be so you girls can hold me accountable, because sometimes I don't finish series.
Okay.
And I really want to finish these two series this year. Like I really, really do. I have to. It's the Thornchapel series by Sarah Simone.
Mm-hmm.
I read the first 2 books. I haven't read the last 2 books. So, and I have the whole series. I have the whole paperback, and I haven't been able to finish them. And then the second series is the Green Creek series by TJ Klune.
Yeah.
Again, such a good series. I read the first 2 books. I haven't read the last 2.
Is this the Wolf song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the series or?
It's a series.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Does that author write sex scenes? Because I remember you talking about one of the books on, I think, the previous Catch Up and Chill or Best of 2020.
Yeah.
TJ
no,
Klune?
it was the Catch Up and Chill House on the Cerulean Sea.
Yeah,
but that one's more. It was more like young adult.
That was different. It wasn't young adult actually. It was adult, but it wasn't adult like adult. You know what I mean? It was like
it's just like fiction.
Yeah. So there's one sex scene in Wolf Song.
Okay.
And it's like very like at the end. And then for the second book there's
kind of like Mariana Zapata like type of thing where the sex happens at like 98%.
Yeah.
But like the payoff is good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But it's hot though, his sex scenes.
Really? Okay.
I remember that scene. I mean, you've been waiting for it for 600 pages.
Wait, his books are that
Anything
long?
is hot at that point. You're like, I just need to let off some steam.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll that will be part of your
New Year's resolution in March.
No, but that will be part of her when she needs to report back in like 4 months. We'll be like, so have you read these books that you said you were going to read or not? Because time is flying.
On her TikTok tell all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaking my silence.
All right.
That's not gonna happen. Just letting you guys know.
And if you need me to be like in the back, I'll just be like, so were you silent or were you silenced by us?
We'll have this whole thing where you interview me and
I could do it, man. I could literally look the part. I could be your Oprah.
I feel like those are tall shoes.
No, I know. I can't even. When I said it, I was like, nope. I can surely not be Oprah. Never, ever.
So the last book on my list is called Dancing on Coals by Ellen O'Connell. And it's the story of, so first of all, it was my first ever First Nation romance.
Oh, okay.
Well, it wasn't First Nation, actually. I'm Canadian, so I slipped. It was a Native American romance set in the late 1800s. So it's historical. And it's the story of, so essentially Catherine is going on like a tour of the country, I guess. People did that back then, like seeing the West because they're from the East or something. Listen, I don't know. So she's on like a coach and on her way back, and they, with a bunch of strangers, and they get attacked by the equivalent of like highwaymen.
Oh.
But like American. And like the people are killed and she manages to escape and hide, but she's still like not far away. And then the highwaymen, which that's not how they're called. I don't know what the word is, get attacked in turn by a group of Apache that arrive. And one of them is like a younger man who finds Catherine hiding. And instead of killing her, he's like, I'll make you my wife. So they leave, and the younger guy has an older brother called, and again, I'm going to butcher this name. This is just, I'm butchering all the names. I think it's like Gayton? How do you pronounce that name? Geatan. Gayton?
Sounds about right.
Him. The hero. So he has an older brother who is, the silent type, the type that we love. He's a little mean. He's a lot mean, actually. He's very mean. And he hates her because they have a whole history of obviously being sent to, him and his little brother were sent to schools.
The residential schools?
Yes. And obviously, like the little brother is kind of like, he's not as traumatized by it, but the older brother really was. Yeah. And so he hates her on principle with reason. And anyway, he doesn't want his little brother to marry her, but he's like, whatever, I can't force him not to. But on their way back, the little brother actually dies.
Oh no!
And he forces his older brother to take care of Catherine.
Why the heck do I want to read this right now?
Until he delivers her to like one of the nearest city or whatnot.
To let her go?
So, yeah.
Okay.
So they're stuck together, and like Gayton, whatever his name is, he hates her, right? So he's like the very, very mean hero who slowly turns soft.
Adding this right now.
Yeah. That sounds really good.
Anyway,
my standards for bookmen, I'm in shock.
Anyway, it's very good. There's a lot of twists and turns. I mean, not really twists, but like, it's like they're constantly in danger type of book. Like they're moving towards a place and like they're being attacked left and right. And anyway, it's fun. It's the heat level is probably like a 3 out of 5. Like, it's not the,
Steamiest.
most graphic book I've ever read, but, it delivers on what you need. And if you like a hero who is very mean in the beginning to the point where you're like, what the fuck?
Why do we like him mean?
I don't know,
I
man.
know.
It's actually a weakness of mine. As soon as she said that he was mean and so mean at times, I was like, okay, going to Goodreads, and I'm currently on it right now.
And, like, she literally suffers because of it, and it's... I don't know why I'm into it, but I am into it, so...
So you said the steam level, like...
It's like a 3.
Okay. But do
5.
they, like, have sex on page?
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. It's just, like, it's not, like, as graphic and as sexy as, like, erotic romance, but
right.
It's there.
That's fine. There. I honestly want to
the only thing I will say about this book is I wasn't fond of the ending, but that's kind of, it was a good ending. Like, ends happily and everything, so, like, don't worry about that. But just a question of preferences, I was like, But it would be, like, a good discussion.
Okay.
Like, the ending would make for a good discussion, I think, of, like, what do you think of the choices that the characters make in the end type of thing. All right. So this is it for this episode of Romancing the Monsters. I hope you added a couple books to your TBR. Not that that's, what we want to do in life, but, it's fun. So it was a very long one. So if you made it to the end, thank you. We appreciate it. You can find us on social media at Romancing the Monsters podcast on Instagram, as well as the RTM pod on Twitter. We also have a TikTok now, which is Romancing the Monsters pod. So you can go and check us out on there. Steph has been doing some great content over there, recommending books. I think she's great. You can also find me at Foes and Lovers on both Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter at But This Book.
And you can find me, Seth, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Rose. And if you liked this episode or any episode previous to this, or you just like hearing us talk about literally nothing for 2 hours straight, please feel free to leave us a review or a like, or just send us a comment on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Just any positive words, any review, anything, just send it our way.
Literally anything.
We'd really appreciate it.
Anyways, see you next week for our first episode on A Court of Silver Flames. There will be 2 episodes, one next week, one the week after that. So yeah, we hope we'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.